if we look here, you'll see there's your first layer, there's my second layer, and there is my third and final layer. So this skirt is actually laid in 3 pieces, 4 layers, because the 4th one of course is folded double. Now we're going to do the exact same thing again, except this time we're working on a single piece. Going to start and just again roughly just do the in out thing. If you're using your machine, just do it on a gathering stitch, and I'm going to just quickly gather this along. Right, you can see how it's already starting to take effect. You're starting to see the effects of these layers. Now when you've done the second layer, remember you don't want to take it straight down. We're going to put it just above where your petticoat line is, so about 1 centimeter below her natural waistline. I'm just going to tie this again so I can anchor it in place. Okay, now that I've got it anchored in place, I just want to sort of move my gathers around, keeping them as even as possible. Now I have got one of those wheelie things that go around, but unfortunately it's downstairs and it's raining, and I don't want to go down the stairs again in the rain. So we're going to just battle with this on our own at this stage. Right, you can basically start seeing how your effects of your layers are going to be. Your second layer is not as thick as your first layer. It's the middle layer. Remember, your next layer is now the duplicate. Okay, let's just anchor this in place quickly. I just want to see that I've got my gathers nice and even. She's already starting to look like quite the little princess. I must share with you, this original dress design was a design that we did for a real live bride, and her dress was red and white, but it went from the very dark red at the bottom to the absolute crystal white, and it had these butterflies flying all the way up the dress. It was absolutely stunning. It in fact won the bridal fair 2 years in a row in South Africa. So it was, I've always wanted to recreate this particular dress, and I must say, now that I have done it and done the basics of it, I love it more and more each time. The next one I'm doing is in fact a lilac version of this, which is going to be very interesting because we're going through a whole embroidered corset, which is going to be very interesting. Okay, let's get back to what we're doing. Right, we've got our layers are nice. I've anchored them, so we can now start with our top layer. Right, now that I've anchored everything in place, I'm going to start with my final layer. Now with the final layer, we're going to do it just a little bit different, because there are 2 ways we can do this. We can do the painting effect first, or we can do it afterwards. With the original one, I in fact painted it when it was on the doll, and I didn't get it as even as I liked. So I, for the second time round, did the painting before I put it onto the doll. So we're going to take our, let's move her out the way for this moment. I like to work on a towel, because otherwise it makes a huge mess of my desk. Now we're going to just cut that end piece off again. Gather your, or put your thread through your fold there, all the way through to the end of this. Then I'm going to take my, now I just need to find my paintbrush that I want to use. Right, you see I folded it in half, and I'm just catching it in the actual fold this time, like that, and really just going not too big, about 5 mil, quarter of an inch probably, and I'm just remember to check back to make sure that your hemline here is still even. And you can, I'm not going to gather it in yet, I'm actually going to paint it first, then I'm going to set it with the heat gun and let it dry. So let me do this quickly. When you've done that, I use a hog hair brush, mainly because it's got nice sort of stiff bristles, and I can work my paint in. Now remember, you don't want it too high, you literally want to do half an inch, sort of working it in and out. Now you can use either a brown or a very dark maroon. It just depends on what your color, you know, what you want to do. You could also use touches of gold. I start off with my red paint, which is the exact same color as my tulle. Now I'm going to put 2 dots down of red paint. I use Americana, which I'm sure you've got readily available in your country. Right. Now, to make the dark maroony color, we mix a dab of brown into our... But when I say a dab, I mean just a tiny bit. You don't want too much brown, it's going to make it too dark. Mix your color up and see. You see how you're getting a more maroony sort of color? Take a little bit more again, just hold on. There we go. That's just my Skype going. I've got students talking to me online as well. Right, that gives you your brownie color. Now, with the other one, we're going to go sort of more the pink colors. So for that one, we're going to add okay, I'm just putting an acrylic retarder in just to stop it from drying out too quickly and from going hard. You can also put an extender base in on this. Okay, I've mixed that one up. I just want to put a drop of white into our other red, which is going to give us more of a shade of pink. There we go. You could, if you find that you don't like the pink, go a little bit more white. But remember, you've got to have 3 contrasts of color here. That's too pink, I think. Let's definitely take that pink to a different level. There we go. If you find that you want more of a browny pink, just put a tiny dot of your brown into it. See, it'll just give you that more grey pink than a piggy pink, really. Okay, there we go. Need to put my retarder in. The retarder just retards your drying process, which enables you to... See how you're getting a slightly different shading? You can play with these colours quite for as long as you like. I mean, you're not bound to anything in specific. I want to put quite a lot of white in this section of the pink. I'm actually going to give myself 4 shadings now. Ah, that's a nice baby, real candy pink. Much better. Okay, let me just get my paint off my stick. I'm going to put my paint out of the way here, and I can work with it without too much of a problem. I'm going to lay this out pretty flat. I'll wipe that off on that section there. Now you'll see automatically when you start, you will notice that your paint is going through. So work your paint through to both layers. You don't want paint staying there. You've got to work it through so that you can actually see the colour, but not any of those little marks for the paint. Right, now I'm going to just dab this on as I'm going. Obviously a bigger brush will make it a little bit easier for you. And again, you'll see I am pushing my paint through. So if you lift it, you can see you've got colour, but you haven't got paint caught in the pores. Now I'm going to just carry on working my paint through. I always try and use a light background so I can see where I'm actually painting. Now I'm going through both layers. Don't do it as a solid line. Sort of give yourself a bit of leeway, your edge, and then maybe take it in a little bit, bring it back again. The main thing is you want this very bottom edge very dark. You want the illusion of it going from very dark to very light. Okay, once we've done that piece, I can just gather it out again and work my paint through again. This is about the most messy your work will be. Now if you've got an airbrush, you could actually airbrush it, but I find I don't have enough things to airbrush to warrant getting the whole machine out and filling it with paint and having to wash it when I'm finished, because the effect really is pretty much the same. With the original dress that we did, believe it or not, we used Juco car spray. We went to a body shop and actually sprayed the wedding dress, the original dress, with Juco car spray in all these different colors. I must really try and find a picture of it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful dress. Now you'll see, as I start lifting it, you can actually see your layers coming through. There we go. Mix up a little bit more paint. I didn't mix up quite enough when I started. Now that's what happens if you mix too much brown in. You'll see I wasn't actually concentrating on what I was doing. I was trying to read my email at the same time while I was mixing. Okay, so we're going to put a bit more red in there. We're getting a nice maroon there. Bring all this colour back. Again, just a drop of retarder to retard your drying process. This just gives you time to work your paint through. Otherwise it dries and it blocks up the little holes that are in your mesh, your tool. And again, we just remember the most important thing is this very bottom edge, so we want that as dark as possible and going to a lighter colour as we're going up. Now we don't want it to be such a definite line when you like this here. So just work it with your, not putting too much paint on your brush, just sort of work your colour a little bit up and to an almost that it's fading out, because here we've got a very definite line. So just take your colour and just really work it into a more gentle line. You don't want that solid line there. It's just, yeah, I'm actually almost using a dry brush now, just adding a bit of colour to that there. What you're going to see when this is gathered up is you'll actually just see the toning of different colour. Before I stop, we're going to just make 100% sure we've got paint in all the places where we want it. Go back and just check your edges, because your edges are really quite important in the effect that we're trying to create. Now with the Valentine, the Halloween bride, we did the exact same thing, but we used black and white, and it was really interesting to see the effect that we got from that. If you find that it's too dark, you can actually turn your work over and you'll find the underside of where you painted will be a little bit lighter. So don't panic. And of course, if you really don't like what you've done, just put it under water. It'll all wash out again. This won't be permanent until we heat set it. So I'm going to just fix this very definite line I've got here I don't like. I want to just really soften it into a more natural coloured gradation. Right, when you've done your bottom, your layer of maroon, gold, whatever it is you want to put on, you can actually, some gold on here wouldn't be too bad. Maybe I should add some gold. Let's, if you're going to put gold or anything like that on, put it on very sparingly. You just really wanted to catch a little bit of the shimmer, not too thick, because remember you've still got the colour gradients. Push your paint through again so that you don't get it in that it clogs up in the pores. Sort of like makeup. So if you've made yours too dark, you can always lighten it slightly by adding a little bit of more colour over it, a slightly different shading of colour. With me putting the gold over, I've already got a slightly different effect. Don't be scared to try out playing with colour like this, because all the things that you actually can't, the effect you can't really create in ordinary sewing, you can create by painting. You can't tie-dye this sort of fabric. The only way you can get the colour onto it is in fact with a spray. There we go. I've got the gold in there. I'll get it down to my edge. See, my hands are nice and dirty again. Okay. Now when we put our doll there and we just start getting a look at the effect, you can see already. I'm going to pull this up quickly so you can see it as it is gathered. You see how you're getting the effect already of the colour. Okay, now I'm going to tie this on. I just want to try and level it out a bit. Okay, let me just clean up my paint, my open tinted paint here, and take the towel away. Now you'll see I didn't paint the top of my skirt yet. The reason for that is I'm going to paint that while it's on the doll, before I put her corset on. Now we're going to tighten our skirt as much as we can.